Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Wake Island has returned to Battlefield 5, and believe it or not, this is my first round of Wake Island, and I went 48-8, I think, or maybe 48-4. I can't even remember. It was a really good round. That's pretty much all I know at the moment. But yeah, I was playing as the attackers, the American forces invading Wake Island on Breakthrough, and yeah, I had a really, really good round. Now, if I'm being extremely honest with you, the only other version of Wake Island that I've properly played is the Battlefield 3 version, so that's the only sort of frame of reference that I've got. And this rendition of Wake Island does feel very, very different. It does feel a lot more cluttered. There's a lot more stuff on the islands that sort of obstruct view and things like that. And in general, the gameplay flowed very differently, but that may be because we're playing a game mode that has never been available on Wake Island before. Breakthrough didn't exist until Battlefield 1 when it was called Operations, and of course, the last time Wake Island was in a proper Battlefield game was back in Battlefield 3 9 years ago. So it's been a long time since I played the map, and we're playing a brand new game mode for it, and the flow of it did feel very, very different. But that doesn't mean that it was bad, because I felt that it was a really, really good round overall. Now, this first objective here, the A flag, it was very easy to take, and I'm putting this down to this being the first game that I played and the first game that the 63 other people on this server will have played on Wake Island. So no one knows the map. Nobody knows where any of the cover is. No one knows where the fortifications are. I mean, as the attackers, I'd say it's slightly easier because all you've got to do is run at the red icons. But as the defenders, I can understand perhaps why this was not such a great performance from them. Let's put it that way. But it made my first round on the map really enjoyable. So, hey, at the expense of the 32 other players on the other team, thanks very much, guys. I had a great time. So yes, this is the B objective, and this is, I think, a small change from the last time that I played Wake Island. I was lucky enough to play this about a month and a half ago over in Stockholm at the Pacific Capture event. And this section here, I believe, and I think I'm saying this correctly, this was its own sector with 2 different capture points on it. But DICE have now seemingly combined the first sector, which was the hotel where we were just fighting. That was the first sector on its own, and then they've combined it with this barracks or town location over here. So instead of it being 2 sectors and you capturing 1 flag in the first sector, so it being 32 versus 32 over 1 flag, DICE has changed that up a bit, and we've got 2 flags on quite a wide sector here. And I think it actually played a lot better. There's a little bit more space for the defenders to spread out. There's a lot more space for the attackers to move forward. There's a lot more routes that they can take. And for the first sector, which in Breakthrough I think should be the easiest for the attackers, it was rather easy. So perhaps that's a good change compared to the last time I played it, because I just remember getting stuck at the massive bridge that connected those 2 objectives together, and it took us a long time to get through that point. So DICE sort of removed that point and made the map better, in my opinion, for Breakthrough. Now, we've moved on to the next sector here. This is only a 1 flag sector, and you just have to take this hangar here. And I had a little bit of fun with the with the flamethrower. And again, this is because I think the defenders didn't really know what to do. So as the attacker, I just took complete advantage of their hesitation, hopping around a little bit here. But I noticed them trying to come through the hangar doors, and I was like, nah, we're not having that. Back to the spawn screen you go. And it doesn't stop there either. I felt so sorry for those players. I literally laughed out loud when I died there, and I felt so bad because these guys literally had no idea what was happening. It's just flames just coming at them, but I had fun. It was a good laugh. And at this point, actually, I've cut the gameplay a little bit here, but I don't think from the point where you start the next sector, where I started attacking the hangar, I don't think I died for a period of about 10 minutes. I had some really good medics on my team that would just keep coming over and reviving everybody. This is what I mean about being an attacker on Breakthrough. I would say being an attacker is actually a lot easier than defending. And with a map like this, I expected there to be more choke points the further I went along, but it was kind of like it was a bit wider than what I was expecting, or at least from what I remember when I was over in Stockholm the last time I played it. But these bunkers here, these are mad. If you go in there, those shells, they explode, which is why I didn't want to go in there. This whole bunker here, just to my left, has been completely destroyed because somebody blew up those shells, and it just completely decimated the building and took it away, which I didn't know that you could do. But that's a really cool effect, especially if you know lots of people are in there. You could just sort of chuck some dynamite in, run away, and then blow it up and hope to get quite a few kills. But there are quite a few of these bunkers, as you can see, both on the left and the right of the road that goes through the ammo depot. And at this point, the defenders had finally spread out a little bit and made it a little bit harder for us to get through. They'd sort of moved down onto the beaches, and we were actually flanking round with boats in the water, because you can use the water as well, which I thought was really cool. And they'd finally cottoned onto that. But none of those defenders were any match for my Update 5.2 STG, which arguably is still the best assault rifle and one of the best automatic weapons in the game. So if DICE's attempts were to rebalance all the weapons with Update 5.2 and take away some of those fan favourite weapons, or the best performing ones, yeah, they didn't really succeed with the STG. I'm kind of glad that they didn't succeed, because I liked it the way that it was, and it still feels very, very similar. And I said that in my video the other day, actually. But yes, I was very grateful that that I could run around with a weapon that I knew after that horrific Update 5.2. I still don't know whether they're going to revert it. Apparently today, Thursday, we're going to find out what they're going to be doing about this weapon balance, because it seems that DICE kind of admitted that things didn't really go the way they wanted to. There was a couple of posts on Reddit from the community manager saying that we will address this because we know you've got some concerns. So it's good to know that, but still at the same time, it really, really hurt the hype for Wake Island, I've got to admit. Like, coming into this, the amount of people that just kept saying, oh, I'm not excited for Wake Island because of Update 5.2. And I totally understand that, because it's a really core element of the game that's just been completely changed over a year after launch to satisfy a group of players that aren't even playing the game. It seems like such a stupid thing to do. Especially when you've got a fan favourite map like Wake Island as such an iconic map. This map's 17 years old. It was in the beta test for Battlefield 1942. This was the original Battlefield map. And DICE just killed all the hype for it by ruining their weapon balance. I don't know, man. I was a lot more reserved in my Update 5.2 analysis, here's why it doesn't work video, but the more I look at it, the more I don't know. It just seems like such a bad decision at such a really important time for the game. So, yeah. Safe to say I'm still a little bit salty about it, but there we go. I've still got the flamethrower at this point. I've still got a few more kills with it. I think that might have been the last kill that I got with it, actually. But, yeah, up until around this point here, I think I get revived again here, but I think at the end of this clip, I finally do actually die after a period of about 5 or 6, maybe 7 or 8 minutes, something like that. But like I said, I just had a really, really good team that were willing to revive at any opportunity they got, which is awesome. And I think the reason we died is that we had to retreat from 2 snipers that were sitting across the little bridge over there. And they were just shooting through the bushes like this, just sort of getting lucky with a couple of sniper shots. But as I'm saying, these medics were just absolutely brilliant. They just kept picking me up over and over again. I really like the scavenger skin on the STG, by the way. It's the scavenger skin with the Cinder magazine and then the napalm sight on it. So it's kind of like this fiery orange-red look. I really, really like it. And I tried to get one more kill here with the flamethrower. I think this is the point, actually, where I finally die, because I can't actually work out where any of them are. Turns out they flanked us, and they got round the other side, but this is now the final sector. So this final sector only has 1 flag on it, and it's just a mass brawl for the dockyards here. You just have to pile onto the objective and hope that the defending team are being killed off at the back and that you've got more players on the objective. But it does create a really cool ending to the round, because you've literally got 32 versus 32 in the final sector fighting over 1 flag. And this is how I kind of think Breakthrough should be set up in most scenarios. The last sector should be the hardest for the attackers and the easiest for the defenders. So if you're going to make it easy for the defenders, perhaps having only 1 flag and then making it like this with lots of cover, lots of different angles that the defenders could come from, lots of different hiding places and fortifications, then that's a really good way to do it, I think. This guy tried to knife me, but he wasn't getting anywhere near. But my sector artillery is just going ham on all these defenders that just happen to be out in the open. But I do have to say, I think we spent the most time trying to take this sector, even though it still didn't take us a huge amount of time. If you look at the tickets at the top there, you can still see we've got about 400 tickets left at this point, and I think you start with 480 on Wake Island, so the defending team really didn't deplete our tickets all that much. And this is what I mean when I was at the start of the video, I was saying things like, I'm not really going to take this as a true first impression of the map because people just don't know how to play it yet. They don't know what the best routes are to attack and the best places are to defend. And so I'm just taking this as a really cool first game on Wake Island, but I do not expect over the next week matches to play out exactly the way they have here because they're just not going to. People will start to figure out what to do. The defenders will get smarter and the attackers will end up finding it harder. And you might find that in a week's time, when people have settled in, that DICE realise that the balance of the map isn't quite right, so maybe they change some of the vehicles, maybe they change the amount of tickets that the attackers get to make it a little bit harder for them. Maybe they reduce the amount, maybe they make it longer because they found that the attackers get stuck at certain places. But yeah, overall, really enjoyed my first round on Wake Island. I think it was 48-4. I think that's what my actual score was for the round. I mean, it doesn't really matter. KD doesn't really matter, but when you have as good a first round as this one, it does make you feel absolutely awesome. And despite the fact that Battlefield 5, in my eyes, is less engaging to play now that Update 5.2 is in the game, as long as the STG still remains this deadly, then I'm absolutely fine. So yeah, if you guys are worried about Update 5.2 and you don't want to play Wake Island because of that, I totally understand. And I kind of support that if that's what you want to do. But if you want to give it a go, STG. That's all I'm saying. Just give it a go. But there we are. Thanks very much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this first gameplay of Wake Island. And, well, let me know your thoughts and opinions down below in the comments if you've played the map already. But until next time, my name is Westie, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.